So just to recap, everybody, we set this whole thing up. Yeah, you're going to have no idea how I did this. But whatever. Hopefully I have another video. Whatever. We're just going to have to pick up from where we left off. Okay, so anyway, we're here. Now, at least I only have one equation with one variable. Okay? So now I can solve for x. I just have to do some algebra here. So over here, you're doing 35 plus x times the tangent of 51.8. You need to distribute that. So I need to take the tangent of 51.8 and times it by each of these. Okay? So on this side, I have x tan 74.2. Nothing's happening there. But on this side, I'm going to have 35 times the tangent of 51.8 plus x times the tangent of 51.8. Okay, we're getting closer. Now, I have an x here and I have an x here. I can't have x's on both sides of my equation, right? So why don't we at least get those x's on the same side of the equation? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whole chunk and I'm just going to minus it over to this side. So I'm going to minus x tan 51.8. So here's where we're at, and here's a common mistake. You can't just subtract 74.2 minus 51.8, because that's not what I really have here. I have x times the tangent of that, and x times the tangent of that. So I really can't do that much here, besides just writing them next to each other. So x tan 74.2 minus x tan 51.8 equals, what's left on this side is just that 35 times tangent 51.8. We're getting close, I promise. If both of these have an x, what you can do is you can factor that x out. So I'm just going to pull the x out of both of these, and look what I'm left with. Tangent 74.2 minus tangent 51.8. Do you see that? Do you see how I did that? And then on the other side, I just have that 35 times tangent 51.8. I know this is a lot of writing, but we're so close to being done. Because now, how would I get x by itself? Yeah, I would just divide this whole crazy chunk away. So I'm going to divide this whole side by that craziness. Tan 74.2 minus tan 51.8. And I do the same thing on the side. These cancel, and I'm left with x equals that. Now, you actually have to do that. You can't just leave it like that, but Mr. Calculator will do all the heavy lifting for you. So I just need to type all that in my calculator. Does everybody have a calculator? You should go get one if you don't have one. You're going to need one. Okay, so let's try. Let's see if that show up. No. There we go. I gotta put it. Okay. So I need to type in all this craziness into the calculator. Okay. I have a fraction, so I would highly recommend that we put parentheses around our numerator and parentheses around our denominator, just to keep everything kind of separate. So let's open a parenthesis. We're going to do 35 times the tangent of 51.8. That's my entire numerator. Now look, I don't know what mode you're in, but if yours is like mine, When you do tangent, it automatically opens its own parenthesis. So that first parenthesis just closed the tangent thing. I need one more to kind of close out my numerator. So there's my entire numerator in there. Do you have that? Now I'm going to divide it by, and then I want a new set of parentheses just to kind of keep these together. So tan 74.2 minus tan, oh, and I forgot to close my parenthesis right there. Shame, shame. Minus tan 51.8. So now I need to close that tangent and then another parenthesis to close my entire denominator. Now it's all in there. So when I hit enter, I actually get a number. Did you get the same number that I got? Try it, because you got to make sure that you're putting it in the calculator the right way. There are a lot of steps here. So once you have a value for x, I'm going to round that to 19.7. And then don't you know, you're not even done yet. Well, you're done solving for x, but we needed h. We didn't even need x. Well, you can't get h without x, so once I have this, I can just go right back up. You can go right here to this. Remember this original equation right there? Tangent of 74 equaled h over x. Now that I know what x is, can I just take that answer, now that I know that that's 19.7, times it by the tangent of 74.2, and it'll get me h? Do you see that? Does everybody see that? Are you with me? I know that x is 19.7. So actually, even if more precise, you can just leave it that crazy big long answer, because that's it, you know, without rounding. Let's just hit times 74.2. So it'll just automatically pick up your answer if you just hit times. And then I just want to times it by the tangent of 74.2. And that is my height. That's my value for h, 69.5. So I'll say, so tan of 74.2 equals h over 19.7. Therefore, do you know those three dots mean therefore? Have you seen that before? Therefore, h equals 69.5. Holy moly. I know, there's a lot going on here. Don't worry, I get it. So let's go back to the one that I had you try before lunch, getting as far as you could get. And hopefully you set up something like this diagram. Was this pretty much what you had? So, let me just show for the people watching this video, we're doing number 5. So if you need to pause it and read what that is, there's number 5, and then I drew the picture that matches. Okay, so I'm basically going to do the same exact thing that I just did. I don't know what, I'll just call this point C. I don't know the length of BC, so I'm going to call it X. Okay, let's see if we can walk our way through this now that we've seen it done once. So I'm going to start off with just my first little triangle. Wouldn't the tangent of this be equal to h over x? Opposite over adjacent? Yeah, do you guys agree? 30.2 degrees right there. So I'm going to start off with the tangent of 30.2 equals opposite h over adjacent x. There's one of my two original equations. My second equation comes from the big triangle. But it's the same thing. I have to do tangent of this angle equals opposite over adjacent, but this time the adjacent is 600 plus x. Do you see that? I'm actually going to give myself a little bit more space. So tangent of 24.1 equals opposite, which is h, over adjacent 600 plus x. Is everybody okay so far? You need to be able to set up these two equations before you can go any further. So does this make sense where these two came from? Everybody's all right? Okay, great. So now I have a system of equations. I have two equations with two variables. I can't have that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for h in each one and then set them equal to each other. So I take this guy, and solving for h is pretty easy. I just multiply both sides by x. Those x's cancel, and now I have h all by itself. So x times the tangent of 30.2 equals h. I do the same thing over here. So I'm going to multiply both sides by the 600 plus x. So I have 600 plus x times the tangent of 24.1 equals h. Now that they both equal h, what do I do? Yes, set them equal to each other. Let's get rid of the h's, and I'll just say x tan 30.2 is now going to equal 600 plus x times the tangent of 24.1. And the rest of this is just algebra stuff. It's just, okay, I need to, what can I do here? I can distribute. So I'm going to multiply that by both of these. I would not recommend trying to squish any of this in. You need room to write this stuff out because there's a lot going on. Okay, I just distributed that. Great. What did we do next? Remember, I'm trying to solve for x. Always go back to, I'm trying to get x by itself. So what do I do? Right, I have two x's. I have an x on the left and an x on the right. I need to at least get them on the same side of the equation. So let's just subtract this guy over so that at least all of my x's are in Texas. You know that song? Oh, okay. Well, anyway, if you don't, you don't get my joke. So all I will now have all of my x's on the left-hand side. So that's a plus. And now we're super close. We're almost there. The next thing I have to do is, they're together, so now I just take the x out. I'm going to factor that x out from that left-hand side. And then to get x all by itself, I just divide. That's it. So I'm going to divide all this craziness. Yes, I know. Oh my goodness. She expects us to be able to do this? Is she crazy? Yep. Oh, what am I? I don't even know what I'm writing. Dividing this thing. Tan 30.2 minus tan 24.1. Once you do a couple, I think it gets, you kind of get the hang of it. And then you're like, okay, now x is all by itself. I just have to ask Mr. Calculator to do all that. So you try it, and I'll try it, and we'll see if we all end up with the same answer for x. Make sure you're putting parentheses around everything in the numerator and then a parenthesis around everything in the denominator. Close the parentheses out as you need to. We should get an answer for x. Anybody want to tell me their answer? Go ahead. This is what I got. The same thing! Yay! So, 1,992.6. But remember, you're not totally done with the problem yet, because I never wanted x, I wanted h. So, how did I get h again if I have x? Who remembers? I'll give you a hint. You got to go all the way back to your first equations. These were the first two. We had this one and this one. Do you remember what we did? That's okay, I'll tell you. You can just take this guy. Now that you know what x is, if you just times it by the tangent of 30.2, you'll have h. So you can leave the number right in there as it is and just hit times tangent 30.2. And that will get you h. So, 1,159.7. I don't even know what we're rounding to, so I guess we should look at that. Ooh. So if you look at the original, 600, just the number 600 with no decimal places. How many sig figs does I have? 600. What'd you say? Just one. So if I'm going to correctly round this, I should only have one sig fig, which means that this number would round to be 1,000. Gosh. If you gave me this on a test or a quiz, I'm not marking you wrong. Okay, let's stop this video before it deletes on me.